Hey guys, how's it going? Matt here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about my game engine and some updates on it. I've made some more decisions on how I'm going to handle things in the future. So I just wanted to fill you all in because, yeah, how else are you going to know, right? All right, so I had to change this camera angle because I had my camera in a different spot than my mic, and it was like it was kind of throwing me off. But okay, so previously I said I was making future updates private. And my reasoning for that was mostly because like I'm testing a lot of stuff and I just don't want to be pushing every little thing I'm testing to the public one, especially if it's like I find out in the future it's bad practice or it doesn't work right and people are maybe following my ideas and implementing it on their own and then they're going to break stuff, blame me, etc., etc. I just didn't want to deal with that whole nightmare of potential stuff. So uh, basically, I started working on it privately, and I've been working on it some, off and on, and trying to get updates going. And I think I am gonna continue updating the public one, but I think I'm gonna make development of it private. And once I'm done developing a new feature and I'm happy with it and I think it works correctly, then I'll put it on the main branch or the main repo rather, and basically put it as like a release. So that way I'm not going to have like all the day-to-day little tweaks going on the main repo. And this should also keep the commit history and everything small. So if you clone it, it doesn't take 4 days to clone. And I also need to clean up the history so that only the tags remain. And I basically don't want it to be something where if you clone the project just natively, there's a way to clone things, of course, without grabbing all the history. But normally, when you just clone things, you also grab all the commit history of all the branches, and it could be like this massive file size for the folder that is your project or is the project you're downloading. And yeah, it didn't really. I wasn't really happy with that. I don't want you to have to download 4 gigs of data to get like 100 megabytes of actual stuff that you're going to use. That's just kind of annoying. So yeah, that's really kind of another whole thought process in the whole thing. And of course, this is all a benefit to anyone that follows the stuff. So I hope you like the change. I can't imagine why you would dislike it. But some people are weird and are like, "Oh, how dare you help me?" I just, I can't control people. But I think it's the right thing to do here. I hope that makes sense. And it took me a while to come to this conclusion. Yeah, okay, so on the latest version I have out there, there's a lot of good stuff going for it. The animations work. There's generally a lot of stuff working, but it's not anything you can't figure out on your own if you're following something like the Learn OpenGL, which is where I learned most of this. So huge shout out to them. But I've also added in a lot of my own custom stuff too. A lot of that stuff is just the stuff on the Learn OpenGL is stuff you need to know if you're going to be doing graphics. So a very great place to learn. And I think a lot of people have kind of started game engines for it. So in a way, I'm just kind of yet another game engine. So to me, the only thing special about it is the parts that I've personally implemented and custom parts I've made without following tutorials. I always feel like when I'm following a tutorial, the thing I'm doing is not as special. I don't know if you guys feel like that too, but it still doesn't detract from the point that you're still learning, which is important. And it's like taking a free course, basically, which is awesome. You can't beat that. Courses are expensive. All right, so the way this currently is, I have future development down here. It says no longer maintained. Future development is moved to a private space. Access is given to supporters, and that's true. I'm still going to keep. I'm going to change this a little bit. So I'm going to make the development. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do this, but here's what I'm thinking. You guys can let me know down below what you think makes the most sense if you want or if you're interested. But at some point, like once this gets to a level where I start adding a lot of other renderers and it becomes like realistically usable for people to actually like make games and projects with, which in my opinion, it sort of is now, but there's better choices like Unreal or Unity or Godot, or there's a million others are further along than mine. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to use this if you're serious about your project. This is more like just a play around thing. That's my opinion. Maybe you think differently. That's fine. But yeah, Unreal and Unity are real. If you want more features that are like more worked out and done, you would use one of those, obviously, right? That's I don't even need to say that. That's just kind of an obvious thing. So I don't expect people to realistically be using this for games development. Although I plan to. That's my whole plan. But and I want to make it public. There's no reason to like have this all hidden because I do want like people to be able to help if they want to and see the code if they want to. But I don't want to have like my personal the game I'm working on files in here, which are kind of in here. Like this example project is it's all my own stuff of implementing or using my library. So that was starting to include stuff that was like a unique game of my own decision type stuff, and I don't want to have that in here. So I'm going to keep the one that's here. That's fine. It can stay here, but I need to keep that separate, and that's part of the development thing too. So eventually, if things keep going well or things scale up and go well, I do want to like hire some other developers to help me work on this stuff because it's a lot for one person, and sometimes I'm just stuck for days not knowing really what to do or how to fix a certain thing. It just happens when you're a programmer sometimes. I generally eventually figure it out, and of course feel a bit foolish for overlooking one little thing or something. But hey, it happens, and that's going to happen privately rather than publicly now, which I feel a lot more comfortable with. And that can also happen, with the team and whoever I'm working with and that sort of thing. Hopefully in the future, it's not like that currently. I'd love to find other people to work with, but it's almost impossible. So I've noticed. Not, I don't want to like complain about that or anything. It just is what it is. I don't know. That's maybe a topic for another video or something. But I'm kind of curious. Do other programmers that are working on stuff have like an almost impossible time finding other people to work with? I do, and I even have a channel where I can like shout it out and say, "Come join me," and I still can't get people to come join me. Uh, and actually helping. That's neither here nor there. Um, so that really puts a damper on me hiring people too. And I guess now that it's come up, I should probably say it because I feel like if I hire somebody, they're probably not even going to know how to help me. Basically, anyway. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but I have yet to run into a single person, a single one, not a single one has come up that has knew how to help with any of this stuff so far. And I've live streamed a ton of it and stuff, and it just doesn't happen. They're just not out there, or it's incredibly rare to find people that actually know kind of how to do this stuff and what to do next. It is so rare. So when you find someone, you should probably like treasure them. I had one at one point, and I think I messed it up because he won't even answer me anymore. Uh, Sorry, Eric. I don't know what I did, or maybe you're in a funk and don't know what's going on with things. But I loved it when we were working together on stuff, and I miss you. But that's all I can say, and I guess I got to say it publicly because, as far as I know, he doesn't read my messages or anything. Uh, I don't know why. I do not know why. If I did know why, I would try to fix it, but it's just weird to me. So I can't blame him or anyone, but that just happens, I guess. Or maybe he was too intimidated by the whole thing. Like I said, I don't know. He wouldn't answer. He just kind of went full ghost, which usually is a sign that you should never talk to that person again. That's just my personal opinion. But if someone ghosts you, you give them like one chance or two chances to answer, like, well, hey, what's going on? What happened? And if they don't answer that, then it's like, all right, I get it. There's a lot of other people in the world, a lot of other fish in the sea. So, yeah, so that's the plans. Hopefully, I can find some help with the future development, especially if I can figure out a proper budget. With this being an unfunded project, it's very hard. I tried to open some funding with the sponsor thing, but there's been no interest in that as of yet. Hopefully, someone will. It would mean a lot. Maybe if you got extra funds to throw at it, even for a month or two, it would mean a ton. It's definitely going to go towards the development of the project and these projects that I work on. But, there's a famous saying that says, as an artist, you don't really get to choose if you're successful or not. You basically just got to show up and do the work. And that's literally all you can do is just show up and do the work. And Whether it's successful or not has nothing to do with you. Totally up to the people that perceive it. And what happens to most artists, at least in the past, maybe not in these days with more ways to share, but yeah, in the past, basically, people work as an artist their whole life. You could probably find examples of this if you just Google this sort of quote or this sort of instance. People work their whole lives writing books, drawing, whatever they do, painting, and then it's, they have no success. They're poor their entire life. And then when they die, they get rich, which is like totally useless because they're dead. It's hilarious, but it's just the life of, in general, an artist. And I do consider myself more of an artist than a traditional blue or white collar worker. So that's just the way I've kind of always been. But yeah, I know a lot of rambling here, but I feel like this is stuff I need to get out. So hopefully you'll find it interesting. And if you made it this far, I guess you probably do. So thanks. Thanks for your interest. It does mean a lot. So yeah, I think the development files and development iterations that are more small and day to day, yeah, going to be for the higher end supporters. That also does include uh, like me talking to you more about this stuff. So if you have more questions about development, or if you're trying to learn and figure out like why I would do something this way, that's also going to be the place for that. So I want to schedule like a bi-weekly or monthly meetup for all the source supporters to do that sort of thing. And it can be like tutoring, whatever you want, spend an hour or two just like hashing out things. That would be cool. I think that would be a nice benefit that some people want. Like people have reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to be tutored," and I'm like, I literally have a tier for that. So rather than like send me an email trying to offer me money, just sign up for the tier and we'll do it. But that, I don't know. There's some kind of, people are weird. I really don't get people, or maybe they don't get me, and that's why I don't get them. So I'm trying, I don't know. That's why I'm going to put out this video, I think, because I get it. Like people are, everyone's different. And apparently I'm very hard to understand because my ways are a bit scattered and I change things frequently and I have ideas about things. And, you know, and I'm kind of, as I mentioned last video, going through a new phase of my life where I'm really trying to straighten out my mentality. I've had this mindset that's been kind of plaguing me for a long time, and I'm actually very surprised to find some success on this channel while I had that mindset. And it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was sort of like a very overly critical and pessimistic kind of mindset that I had to be very careful with. And I think there was definitely some videos in the past that I quickly took down when I realized, oh man, I was that guy I didn't want to be in that video kind of thing. So I'm trying to like get rid of that guy. Not like 100% altogether, because I do need the critical side of me, but I don't need to like let it send me into a weird rage that drives people away. I need to like find a way to make it useful. So there's a lot more to it than that, but that's like the overarching uh, version of it. I don't know if anyone else has that sort of problem, but I don't think I'm totally unique to that sort of problem. So yeah, is there anything else I wanted to mention? Let me think here. Yeah, I guess that's it for now. I could probably go on, but I don't want to make this super long. Just look forward to seeing some updates on this main repo when I have them ready. I'll probably make a little just documentation changes here on some of this front end, but I've got a lot of work to do, and it's really hard to get all these straightened out properly. Like I'm trying to get the ECS worked out, and I'm also thinking maybe I don't need an ECS entirely because implementing it really like gutted the whole system I had going on before, and it was just making it more difficult, in my opinion. Maybe it won't do that after it's better implemented, but it's not something that's probably going to be out anytime soon. So we'll see. I've got to give it a few more tries, try a few more things. Recently, I've been working more on the render graph and getting more render features working properly. And then once most of that's done, I'll probably go on to the next feature. But yeah, I really want to get like shadows, stenciling, HDR stuff. A lot of this stuff basically worked out. But It's a lot harder than it seems. There's some days where I think today's the day. I'm gonna get this finished, and it usually doesn't go that way in the long run. There have been occasions when that has worked out when I've like it has been like that, but motivation's tricky, especially for me. I think it's going to get better now that I'm working on my mindset a lot and keeping that in mind. But really, I'm just going to try to keep putting in the work because I've also noticed that motivation doesn't just strike. Well, sometimes it does. For me, sometimes it does. Sometimes I just wake up one day and motivation strikes. I'm doing this today. I'm giving it my best shot and I hope it works. Sometimes that happens to me. But I've also noticed that simply does not happen if I'm not trying really hard previous days where I'm not so motivated. That happens kind of randomly on a day after I've been non-motivated working. I don't know if that makes sense, but to say it in a different way, like say on day one of some set on some week, I'll work really hard and be like frustrated the whole day and feel like I get nothing done. On day two, it might be similar. And then on day three, something clicks, and suddenly I realize, oh, today's the day. I understand how to do this all of a sudden, and like that'll be the day where I feel like motivation strikes. But that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the 2 days of frustration. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think. But that literally does happen to me sometimes, and it doesn't just happen out of the blue. That's all I'm saying. So you got to put in those frustrating days. I think that's an important lesson for any of you lifelong coders or someone that's really trying to work at things. And also, that's really important if you're a boss or leading some code project, is to know that you basically you won't always see results from every programmer every day, or maybe, well, maybe you see little stuff, but as long as they're working hard, like you need to realize that one day they're going to have these click days where things like really get get done. And maybe not everyone's like that. Maybe people are better programmers than me and can actually like knock stuff out really well every day. More power to you if you can, but that's not most people I know. I've never personally met anyone like that. Maybe like John Carmack's like that or something. I'm not really sure. He probably is, but he's had we'll say probably 30 more years of experience than I, so that kind of makes sense. Uh, yeah. Programmers that have been doing it forever, they can of course knock stuff out very quick, but that's kind of different. You definitely got to build up to that. You can't expect to do that on your first few years of coding or anything like that. Is all I'm saying. All right, well that's it. If you don't mind, if you could go to this repo, just you know, I'll leave it down below and give it a star. Consider sponsoring or signing up on Patreon or hitting the YouTube stuff. It really does help a lot, keeping my coding projects going and this channel going. And yeah, we'll go from there. I appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves and keep coding.